That's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network at BINnews.com.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. MVP's Pro Rewards members visit Lowe's now and earn bonus points on select products and brands like Power Pro. Then redeem for Lowe's gift cards and more. Offer valid through 1/8/23. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts if any. Subject to program terms. Points expire 12/31/23.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers will have a hard time getting last night's overtime loss to Boston out of their system. They had a 13-point lead with just under 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but couldn't hold it. The Celtics win it in OT 122-118. 44 points from Celtics forward Jason Tatum. Anthony Davis had 37 points and 12 rebounds, but he missed two crucial free throws with 28 seconds left in the fourth quarter. By 20 Monday night are back in action tonight against Minnesota. It looks like free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. is not going to play this season. The Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, and Buffalo Bills have decided not to sign Beckham. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call me your MVP.
KBLA Talk 1580.
The thrill of victory. The thrill of victory. The thrill of victory.
KBLA Talk 1580 wishes to congratulate Mayor-elect Karen Bass on her first woman and only second African-American to serve as Chief Executive of the City of Los Angeles.
Congratulations, Mary-elect Bass, and welcome back to Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and this is my very first interview, and I'm proud that it's here.
We are proud to have you here. What do you want to say to the listeners of KBLA Talk 1580?
I want to say thank you from just, I'm just full of the love that I felt every place I went in the community, and I just want the listeners to know that I promise you I won't disappoint you. I will be accessible. I will never forget where I'm from, and understand that is my primary motivation.
Congratulations, Mayor-elect Karen Bass, holding all leaders accountable to you.
No matter who you voted for, no matter who you are or where you live, I will be a mayor for you.
The KBLA Talk 1580. Talk 1580. Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hang on the mistletoe, I'm gonna get to know you better this Christmas. And as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together this Christmas. The fireside is blazing bright, we're caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas for me.
Whoa. 1580, 1-800-920-1580, as many of you know. If you were listening last year, I said it a few times, this is my favorite Christmas song. For me, it ain't Christmas until I hear This Christmas from Donny Hathaway. And last year on this program, we had the songwriter, Nadine McKenna, out of Chicago, who wrote this song while she was working in the post office. Working in the post office in Chicago, and she wrote this song. And she was trying to get the song to Curtis Mayfield, who at that time had just become, a star. His first 1 or 2 hits was out. Curtis Mayfield, of course, from Chicago. And she's working in the post office, raising 2 boys. and wrote the lyrics to this song, was trying to get it to Curtis Mayfield and could not get it to Curtis Mayfield. But somebody at the post office, you know how black folk are, somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody's cousin, right? And through those connections, she got to Donny Hathaway, who at the time was just on the come up himself. He had one hit out called The Ghetto, as you well know. And one of her friends at the post office got her connected to Donny Hathaway, and the rest, as they say, is history. And I can't imagine anybody but Donny Hathaway singing this song. And it's been covered so many times. I teased Nadine McKenna about all the checks she must be getting because everybody has covered this Christmas. Turn it up, Miles, let it ride.
Very special Christmas for me, yeah. Merry Christmas. Shake a hand, shake a hand.
So Nadine McKenna is my Christmas gift to you every year, and so in the next few days she'll be back on our program, and we're going to make sure Nadine comes by and sees us every year and just celebrate this classic song. This Christmas, it is the most renowned holiday song ever written by an African American, and I'm just glad that somebody at the post office hooked Nadine McKenna up with Donny Hathaway so that we could enjoy this song by him and so many others who've covered it. In this hour, a conversation with LA Times columnist Gustavo Arellano about his provocative piece, which came out yesterday. I told you yesterday to read it so that when you came on today, you'd be up to speed with us. It's a provocative piece. The headline in yesterday's paper, in the LA Times, haters leave Kevin De Leon alone. You are playing into his game. Gustavo, good to have you back on the program. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, and I agree. Donny Hathaway is so underrated. That song is amazing. More Donny, please.
Yes, more Donny. I'm with you. More Gustavo. More Gustavo. I love your work. I love reading it. You always make me think, and I just appreciate your prose. And delighted to have you back on this program once again. Let me jump right in. There is one line in this piece that jumps out at me because I think it's a great way to open up the door for you to explain to people who haven't read it as yet why you feel the way you feel. And the line simply says, "The haters fell for his bait on Friday." The haters fell for his bait on Friday. We have all by now seen the videotape of Kevin De Leon getting into a scuffle with some BLM persons, and that video again circulated everywhere. I turned on TV last night and saw Kevin De Leon on CNN discussing this last night. So everybody across the country is talking about this videotape where an LA City Councilman is in a scuffle with some BLM people. So again, your piece was entitled "Haters Leave Kevin De Leon Alone." You are playing into his game. Gustavo, it's all yours. Unpack it for me.
Since the racist tape leak, of course, people have been calling for Kevin De Leon to resign. He is now the last person left in his position of the other three people who were there. Nuri Martinez resigned. Gil Cedillo just termed out because he's a coward. Ron Herrera resigned. And so how was Kevin? I mean, Kevin was on your show, Tavis, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go around the city. I'm going to do this apology tour." No, he has stayed in his district, now playing Santa Kevin, going around doing free turkey giveaways, free toy giveaways, free Christmas giveaways, hanging out with senior citizens in Boyle Heights and all of that, and basically going to his haters. And I'm going to make a distinction between critics, protesters, and haters. The haters, I'm saying the people who are following him, who have followed him around with the cameras going like, "Come at me, bro, come at me, bro." Well, Kevin now turned on them and said like, "All right, go after me. Go after me in the middle of the community, because if you're going to go after me, all those community members are going to see the tactics that you're using against me, and they're going to be against you. And at the end, it's those community members, the people in CD14, who are going to decide whether I stay or not, either a recall or the general election or not." And so what ends up happening, they have that confrontation. Kevin throws the guy down, but now he could go around and says, like, "Look, my free speech is being abrogated. I'm being persecuted. Everyone huddle around me." They, and we know what we're talking about when Kevin's saying they are out to get me. They're out to get us. So Kevin set up that bait, and the haters just walked directly into it.
To your mind, then, what is the best way, and I want to interrogate this a bit more, but let me just jump right quick to this. To your mind, Gustavo, what is the best way at this moment for us to handle Kevin De Leon because, as you well know, he has done nothing illegal. It might have been unethical, immoral, might have been not upstanding, but there's nothing in the charter, the city charter, that allows the city council. They can walk out all they want every time he walks in, but they can't get rid of Kevin De Leon. So to your mind, what's the best way for all of us, no matter what category, those three categories you laid out, what's the best way for us to handle him as you see it at this moment?
I mean, start giving money to the recall campaign and recall him. And then at the same time, what does a recall involve if not voter education? And a lot of people, they only read the headlines. They're like, oh, you know, you're saying leave poor Kevin De Leon alone and defending him. I'm like, no, read the actual story.
Mm-hmm.
I said, go to city council meetings, yell at him. That is your duty, actually, as an American. Go camp out in front of his house. I have no issue with that. That's something that both parties have been doing for decades, going in front of people's house. And I said that was perfectly fine. But if you're going to, if the only way to take out Kevin legally is for recall or voting him out, then you're going to have to convince the voters of CD14. Yelling at elderly Latinos supporters who are speaking in Spanish at city council meeting and booing at them, that's not the way to do it. Going parents to vote, that's definitely not the way to do it. That just draws those people who ultimately have the fate of Kevin's hand, the fate of Kevin in their hands, closer to him. So it's going to be an uphill battle. Recalls are expensive, and even harder is to convince the voters to go against Kevin. A guy who's going around town saying, "Here, free turkey. Here, Christmas." And by the way, in my column, I called Kevin despicable. I called him a sinvergüenza, without shame. I called him a shameless scoundrel. I said he should resign more than ever, and I also said that he's using these events as human shields against him. He's completely despicable, and yet a lot of people think I'm somehow supporting Kevin. I don't know what world they're in, though.
Nope, I didn't see it that way at all. That's why I wanted to have you on the program. When we come forward with Gustavo Arellano, since he mentioned Gil Cedillo, as you know, we discussed this yesterday. I was able to use one of these apps. AI can do so many things these days. So we took the statement that Gil Cedillo made. If you didn't hear yesterday's program, we took his statement, we put it in one of these AI apps, and we voiced it. And so since it's radio and you can't read what Gil Cedillo said, it's a long statement anyway. Trust me, I had to read it. So we did audio yesterday, so the audience could hear what Gil Cedillo had actually written, and we spent a good deal of time yesterday talking about that. But since Gustavo, as a Latino, mentioned Gil Cedillo and called him a coward a moment ago, I want to get more of his take on how he reads what Gil Cedillo had to say in his statement on Monday. And I also want to talk about whether or not he thinks Kevin De Leon survives this. Again, if you missed yesterday's program, I went on record publicly for the first time suggesting that I believe personally that the longer this plays out, and when you read Gustavo's piece, you'll understand why I'm saying this is me, not Gustavo. When you read Gustavo's piece, it seems to me that the longer this plays out, the greater Kevin De Leon's chances are of surviving this. And I feel that way precisely because, well, hold that thought. I'll tell you when we come forward. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. Good thing we've got 3 hours. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA. On Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with one of the panelists, the owner of Kids Love. Take a listen.
So Kids Love, KIDS LUV, is a first-to-market zero-sugar, vitamin-enhanced functional beverage for kids.
So the zero sugar is really important because if not, the sugar gets on the teeth, it can cause cavities. So as a mom, I love this vitamins and hydration in one. Tell us what's happening here with Chase Mink today.
So I would say I think what Chase is trying to do is create a community actually for entrepreneurs, a place where people can go. They have the space to do it. It's a beautiful space, and to be able to have these conversations. There are so many benefits to being a women-owned and certified business from a standpoint of getting into stores, not paying the slotting fees of what it takes to be in stores. So I think Chase is trying to bring awareness to a lot of the things that people just don't know about, that not only the bank can help, but outside of the bank, their relationships can help create.
That's beautiful. And I know, this is how we build equity in communities of color, is kind of spreading that information and that knowledge. So thank you for being here today and doing your part and letting these women know that it is possible. 1580.
I'm Aisha Cairo in the community with Chase.
Bring in the new year with Ted Williams. He's coming to Ontario in the Toyota Arena December 30th. And in Los Angeles in the Microsoft Theater December 31st.
I don't know what I'm going to do about this light bill. Just hit the blunt one time and see if it don't change your perception of what's important in your life. I don't know what I'm going to do about this life. I got 12 candles. I've been waiting to burn them.
He's back with an all-new show. It's the award-winning comedian, Cat Williams.
Just so you knew they was lying, they said that don't even make mathematical sense. They said there's a chicken wing shortage, but we got plenty bags.
Cat Williams with his Tommy Davidson, Tony Roberts, Bethany Springs, and Pretty Ricky in Ontario. Get tickets to Ticketmaster in Los Angeles at AXS.com. Bring in the new year with Cat Williams.
Where do holiday happenings take over every aisle? Lowe's, actually. Right now, you'll save big on everything you need for the holiday season. Get up to 50% off select pre-lit Christmas trees. Lights. Plus, save on your gift list with up to 50% off select tools and accessories. The holidays are here, and so are the savings. Only at Lowe's. Offers valid through 12/14. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Let's unpack a little bit more with Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues right now.
Our guest right now is LA Times columnist Gustavo Arellano, whose work I enjoy reading. His piece yesterday that's got everybody talking. The headline read, "Haters, leave Kevin De Leon alone. You're playing into his game." I was saying before that break, Gustavo, that on this program yesterday, I suggested, having interviewed Kevin De Leon, that the longer this goes, the greater I think his chances are he survives the remaining 2 years on his term, number one. I feel that way precisely because of what you said a moment ago and what I read in your column. The more that Kevin De Leon can make the argument that those persons are harassing me, and the older Latino voters in his district see that, and let's just call a spade, they see black folk in BLM and other folk who don't live in this district or in this community coming after Kevin De Leon, legitimate or otherwise, and they see these black folk engaging Kevin De Leon in scuffles and fights, that doesn't play well to the base of Latino voters in his district. And that's why I resonate with your piece that this kind of activity, this kind of behavior is playing into his hands because, the only persons that can get him out are the voters in this district, and they have to do it through a recall. And as Gustavo said earlier, recalls aren't easy to begin with. You saw Gavin Newsom survive one. Every now and then somebody goes down, but oftentimes people survive these recalls because it takes so much to yank somebody out of office. And so I think there's a greater chance every day that Kevin De Leon survives this 2-year term. I don't know what that means for how he interacts with the council. I will say this. If this recall happens and the voters in his district do not recall him, I think it is impossible for Mr. Krikorian, the president of the council, or anybody else to then walk out when he shows up. Because if he's gone through every stage of the democratic process, including recall, and his district does not recall him, no matter how much you recoil when he shows up, he was not recalled. And as such, you're going to have to sit with him and deal with it for the remainder of his term. That's how I see it, but you're the columnist, Gustavo. How do you see it?
Yeah, Kevin is waiting on this long game and waiting on the fact that his district, he's waiting on so many things. He's leaning on his reputation as his political career, working against 187 or against Proposition 187 from 1994. And again, I cannot overemphasize, after disappearing, basically after going on your show, he went into hideaway for weeks, and then pops up, going on Instagram, filming these cute little videos of himself, surrounding himself with kids, abuelitas, all that stuff, and then having soundtracks like El Rey, The King. The most offensive one, by the way, he had on Joe Arroyo, salsa legend from Colombia, Rebelión, which is all about a real-life slave revolt that happened in Colombia. So the man has no shame, but he also knows that, especially in CD14, they don't want outsiders there telling them how to think. So the more activists come, and especially, you had yesterday the city council meeting where folks from Black Lives Matter were there. All of a sudden, some Latino men started shouting, "All lives matter, all lives matter." And yes, that's absolutely disgusting for them to be saying that, but those are the people who live in CD14. Like, how are you? Kevin De Leon is in. How are you going to convince him to go against your man?
Yeah. You mentioned You mentioned Gil Cedillo, and by now most of us have read or heard over this program and beyond what he had to say. I heard you invoke the word coward, so I have some sense of how you feel about Gil Cedillo. but what did you make of that statement, Gustavo?
Well, I'm going to do a whole column on it, so everyone should read the column. I'll say a little bit here. Sure. But this is the worst example for me, actually, of what happens when you do have district elections and all you care about is your district. He made it all about the district because he's from Boyle Heights. At his very last sentence, this boy from Boyle Heights never steps down. He's basically saying, where are you from? This is where I'm from. This is my hood. And here in Boyle Heights, we don't back down from challenges like that. It came off as tone deaf, as Nuri Martinez in her resignation letter saying, I hope that I come off as an inspiration for you little young Latina girls out there. It's like, read the room, but they're so egotistical, they're not going to read the room. And they're viewing all of this through such a Latino lens. And Nuri from Pacoima, Gil from Boyle Heights, that they don't care about anyone else, and it was laughable. But no, I have way more things to say about that once I run my column.
No, I don't want you to give your best stuff away. Keep your best lines. Hold on to your best lines, man. Because if you put them on the radio, somebody will be using them before they get in your column. Don't give your best stuff away. So I look forward to reading your column. I figure you'd be working on something regarding that. Let me just say though, to your point about Nuri Martinez, I said to somebody, I guess 48 hours ago when I saw it, I don't know what's worse, Cedillo's letter or Martinez's letter. Both of those letters were reprehensible. Both of them showed no contrition. Both of them showed that they were tone deaf. And so when I saw it, I'm like, man, I thought Nuri's letter was bad. Her statement, Cedillo's is far worse to my mind, but I digress on that point. Let me ask you, since you mentioned the city council yesterday, that was a zoo. For those who saw what happened in council yesterday here in Los Angeles, it was an absolute zoo in there yesterday. What's your opinion, Gustavo, about the city council writ large, Mr. Krikorian, how they are handling this? I know they're being put in an awkward spot every time he shows up, but what's your view of how the council is handling or mishandling this situation?
If they want Kevin to act in as an adult, they have to talk to his closest advisor, someone like Fabian Nunez, the former speaker, Antonio Villaraigosa to a lesser extent. But Kevin does not care for any of the council members. Poor Paul. Paul is trying. You see these conversations he's having with them. One can only imagine what he's telling him to do. But Kevin is just more dug in. People underestimate Kevin. People underestimate how stubborn he is, and his stubbornness has helped them in the past in the fight that he has done for good stuff like driver's licenses for undocumented folks, green initiatives, but it also hinders him, like when he ran for mayor and lost, ran for U.S. Senate against Dianne Feinstein and lost. So that said, the council continues, and I agree with the council members who are walking out, who are like Hugo Soto Martinez and Eunice Hernandez, who just got elected, Marquise, of course, Nithya stepping out. But at the end, when it came to voting on Karen's emergency powers for addressing homelessness, the vote was unanimous, and Kevin was a part of that vote. So if you're so opposed to Kevin being part of the city council, then don't vote on anything. I mean, really bring it to a standstill. If you're going to play that game, play that game. Though, I don't think even that would reach Kevin. At this point, it would only take Fabian and say, dude, that's it, man. You got to step down. And the sad thing, everyone will remember what Nuri and Gil said, and also Ron Herrera. But at the end, this racist tape leak is going to stick with Kevin because he's the one who did not step down. I think I might have said this when we were on last time. The sooner Kevin steps down, the sooner he could rehabilitate his career. Look at Al Franken at this point. The minute that happened so many years ago, he stepped down, and now he's coming back. He's going to be a host somewhere or something like that. But he was able to rehabilitate himself, and he did it. Kevin's not rehabilitating himself. Kevin is entrenching himself in his community because he knows that CD14 are the only people who can take him out, and he's counting that they're not going to take him out.
This is Inside Baseball, and I apologize to those who are listening across the country, but I need to ask this question for those in Los Angeles who are listening and vote in these elections. So, to your point about the vote yesterday, so Mayor Karen Bass, they had a vote on the emergency call vis-a-vis state of emergency vis-a-vis homelessness. She promised to do that in her speech on Sunday when she was sworn in. Her first move was going to be to declare a state of emergency vis-a-vis the issue of homelessness. That thing came to a vote yesterday in the council, as you mentioned, and on the board, De Leon's name did in fact show up. Now let me back up. He comes in, all hell breaks loose. President Parker Corning calls for an immediate recess. They come back, and the votes move forward. And to your point, Kevin De Leon's name shows up on the board. He votes in favor of it, but he's not in the room. Now, I'm trying to figure this out because that is a dangerous precedent. It's a dangerous precedent, and I'm waiting for somebody to write about this. So, what happens? How did that happen? That he ends up voting, but nobody saw him in the room. Is he voting behind a wall somewhere? Because that's not the way democracy is done either. So, again, it's inside baseball, but I noticed that yesterday, and I'm sure you did as well.
Yeah, I wasn't seeing the council meeting. My colleagues were covering it. But when I heard about that, I'm like, wait, did he come in? And if he came in, how were they able to do that above the screen? So I actually talked to a friend of mine who's in LA politics, and he said apparently there's a room where council members can legally be seen being part of the city council meeting, but there's a computer there, so that's how you're able to vote on it. And I think, especially if this continues, I could see Paul saying, you know what, this is chaotic. We're just going to go back to Zoom. And they'll invoke, COVID. As what happened right afterwards, you'll remember when Mitchell Farrell said, yeah, we all have COVID, so let's just go through it. And they went through that, and that will be far more manageable, and it will be a damn shame. But again, I'm not going to fault Paul. I'm not going to fault anyone in the council, but Kevin for allowing this charade to happen. And then again, once more, I think people should be protesting. American democracy, it's fun, but you have to be smart with your fun. Going to these community events where Kevin is playing Santa Kevin and making kids, that is not smart at all. That's what I mean by Kevin has this game. He wants to be the martyr. You saw his interview on CNN. Well, I saw his interview on Telemundo where he said that the reason why he pushed the activist was because he was protecting parents and children. That's what he said. Not enough people see Telemundo, apparently, but, he is going around and he's taking a victory lap. And he has no shame. He's a sinvergüenza.
I don't know who's advising him, but I will say this again publicly, that it's wickedly brilliant. Let me frame it that way. It's wickedly brilliant. But when I saw him on CNN last night, I just kind of chuckled to myself like, man, KBL is going in on this. So the argument that he advanced, you heard Gustavo say a moment ago that he advanced on Telemundo this notion he was protecting Latino women, Latinas, and their children. Okay, that's the argument there. On CNN, he goes another direction. On CNN, he says that every one of us goes to work every single day with people we don't like. I said, oh, my Lord. We go to work every day and sit beside folks we don't like, folks we can't get along with, bosses that we can't stand, but we show up for work. And the room does not clear out. The office doesn't clear out because you don't like person X. You see his point. You might not like me, and you heard Gustavo say earlier, he doesn't like any of those council members. His point is, though, you ain't got to like me. I'm duly elected, and every other American goes to work every day in spaces with people they don't like. So how you going to shun me and tell me you're going to shut the meeting down because I'm here while I'm duly elected? I said, oh, my goodness, he's working every angle of this thing he can work. I don't know who's advising him on this, but that was a brilliant stroke in terms of making argumentation. Let me be clear. Not the one that has to agree with it, but I heard the argument, Gustavo.
What he's doing is despicable, what he's doing is atrocious, and what he's doing is tactically brilliant. And people got mad at me for that, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Finally, in 60 seconds, what's your sense of what this may do or is doing to black-brown relations, because ultimately, as I said earlier, and you've offered your point of view, I think that if the Latino voters in his district see black folk pushing back against him, that can be a problem.
You do have good Latino organizations like Inner City Struggle teaming up with groups like Community Coalition and protesting. They're not pushing cameras in his face on. They know better than to go to community events and push that stuff there. So remember, almost the entire Latino political establishment in California is telling Kevin to resign. So but at the end, again, it's the voters who are going to have that. And if they see what they call quote unquote outsiders, aka black folks, coming in and telling them Kevin De Leon is racist and you're racist for standing with him, they're not going to go voting against Kevin.
His name is Gustavo Arellano. He is a must-read writing in the LA Times. A piece out yesterday. You should read it if you didn't see it. Haters, leave Kevin De Leon alone. You're playing into his game, and I cannot wait to read what he has to say about Gil Cedillo's statement earlier this week. Gustavo, good to have you back, my friend. Happy holidays. I'll talk to you soon.
Same to you, man. Thank you.
All the best to you. More of Tavis Smiley after news and traffic and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
We may be LA's newest talk station, but when you're punching above your weight, it's not about whether you can throw a punch. Can you take a punch? We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Election officials are reviewing results from Georgia's Senate runoff. The AJC says 137 counties are taking part in an optional audit of the election between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. The state's election director says it will improve confidence in the results of the elections. Workers are counting paper ballots by hand. Some parents of sick kids are scrambling with a nationwide shortage of amoxicillin. The popular antibiotic is used to treat sore throats, earaches, and other ailments. Respiratory viruses hitting the U.S. is a major cause of the shortage. A Santa knows of at least one person getting a lump of coal this year. This after his sleigh was stolen over the weekend in Columbus, Ohio. A man identified only as Mr. Claus says someone stole his red Kia, and community members have shown support, with some even offering rides so he can continue his seasonal work. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network at BINnews.com.
We have a disabled vehicle in Van Nuys, 405 southbound at Burbank Boulevard, that is blocking the carpool lane, and crews are on the scene there. Traffic is slowed down toward Getty Center. In Elysian Park, 5 northbound before the 110, a wreck on the right. Traffic slowing there from the 10. Inglewood, 405 northbound at Manchester, an accident blocking the carpool in the left lane with a slowdown starting back at the 105.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. MVP's Pro Rewards members visit Lowe's now and earn bonus points on select products and brands like Power Pro. Then redeem for Lowe's gift cards and more. Offer valid through 1/8/23. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts event. Subject to program terms. Points expire 12/31/23.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers will have a hard time getting last night's overtime loss to Boston out of their system. They had a 13-point lead with just under. Couldn't hold it. The Celtics win it in OT 122-118. 44 points from Celtics forward Jason Tatum. Anthony Davis had 37 points and 12 rebounds, but he missed 2 crucial free throws with 28 seconds left in the fourth quarter. The Clippers, who beat the Celtics by 20 Monday night, are back in action tonight against Minnesota. It looks like free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. is not going to play this season. The Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, and Buffalo Bills have decided not to sign Beckham. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call me your MVP.
Did you know that LA County Library has free Wi-Fi at all 85 library locations? That's right, free Wi-Fi. Now they also offer free Wi-Fi in parking lots at participating locations. Visit a participating LA County in a library parking spot, bring your own device, connect to the Wi-Fi, and you're ready to connect with your friends and family, do some online shopping, browse your social media accounts, answer emails, do your homework, and so much more. You won't need a library card to connect, but you can sign up for one while you're there and get access to free books, ebooks, music, movies, and more. For additional information, log on to lacountylibrary.org/Wi-Fi, lacountylibrary.org/Wi-Fi, that's lacountylibrary.org/Wi-Fi.
Have you been court ordered to take parenting classes? Call 323-804-8469 for a free class. That's 323-804-8469. February 6th, courtesy of Strengthening the Black Village, a nonprofit organization.
At the Strategy Center, we have a lot to celebrate. Join us Saturday, December 17th, 12 noon to 4 p.m. for our annual holiday block party at Strategy in Seoul, located at 3546 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Los Angeles 90008 on King Boulevard, one block east of Crenshaw. Featuring food from Earl's on Crenshaw, Afro-Cuban drumming with Richard Marquez, and ornament making for kids of all. Help us celebrate 33 years of fighting anti-black policies in L.A. We want free public transportation for everyone in L.A. and 50% of all public and private jobs set aside for black applicants. Did I mention a live DJ and karaoke? You do not want to miss this. Join us on December 17th from 12 to 4 p.m. at Strategy in Seoul, 3546 West Martin Luther King Boulevard. Visit our website for more information and RSVP to www.thestrategycenter.org.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. I'm
Tavis Smiley. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Our phone number 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. Some breaking news here that you might have already seen. I'm just not getting a chance to get to it. But Stephen Twitch Boss, who was the amiable DJ for Ellen DeGeneres' daytime show, is dead at the age of 40. It appears that he was found in a room by himself with a gun, single gunshot to the head. So it appears that this is suicide. And if in fact that turns out to be the case, another example of a black man committing suicide. We've talked so much on this program over the last year and a half about the increasing numbers of black men, young black men, killing themselves. So here's a guy who, known around the world as a DJ, a great dancer, rose to fame on So You Think You Can Dance. His wife has confirmed, of course, that he is dead, and she put a statement out. But we're being told that, again, he was in a room by himself, gun present, single gunshot wound to the head. So it appears that this may have been suicide. Perhaps we'll get to some of this in the third hour of his program, perhaps. But if not, we will come back and talk about it once again in the days ahead. What it is that's happening in the world that is causing so many black men, the fastest group, or the group that is committing suicide at the highest rates, growing fastest, are black men. Something is happening. And so many black men think that the only way out is to take their own lives. So, Stephen Twitch Boss dead at the age of 40. Let me shift somewhat awkwardly to the conversation that I want to have now. A conversation about technology and innovation, and specifically whether or not technology and innovation are still improving our lives, our nation's overall economic health, enhancing our freedom of expression, and America's overall security. There are some who believe that we have finally reached a point of diminishing returns. Doug Kelly ain't one of them. He is with the American Edge Project, and I'm delighted to have him on this program. Doug Kelly, how are you today, sir?
Hey, Tavis, I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
It's good to have you on the program. You heard me say a moment ago that there are those who are questioning whether or not technology and innovation are still leading our nation in the right direction. What say you, sir?
I say technology and innovation are America's secret sauce in helping protect our national security, in helping accelerate economic growth, and also advancing our values. I mean, technology is not just another sector, right? Mm-hmm. It's the backbone of literally everything we do. And yeah, there's some problems that happen when you have new technologies hitting society and politics, but overall, progress forward in our country.
Yeah. How do you respond to folk, Doug, who think that we've become, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, that we've become too reliant on technology, and what's missing in the process is human connection, human interaction. So in some ways, technology is harming us as opposed to helping us.
Well, look, I think with anything like that, you got to have a balance of things, right? I mean, technology has helped us remain even more connected with each other than ever before, both online but also offline as well. So, for example, Facebook has connected, 3 billion people around the world. That allowed me to see some story about a teacher in Arizona. I lived in Columbus, Ohio. It was a really hard story, so I found her on Facebook, sent her a note, and now I'm helping, pay for some of the things she needs in the classroom. That happens millions of times a day in this country. So this ability to connect us through outside of our own community, it really makes a big difference.
I mentioned a moment ago that there are many who believe, as I suspect you do, that technology and innovation are enhancing our freedom of expression. The flip side of that is that we see more people going off the range in expressing themselves, be it Kanye or Donald Trump or any number of other persons I can name, not trying to just single those persons out. But there are people who are concerned that this freedom of expression is being exploited, being bastardized precisely because of technology and innovation. Your thoughts?
Well, on the content part of things, like free speech is a fundamental underlying American value, right? People really believe it. I think one of the challenges is that these private technology companies, look, they have a community, right? This is what they've built for people there. They have pretty clear rules of conduct in that, and they want to make sure it's a good experience for everyone. So they have to make some tough calls on not. I'll just give you one example from, with Facebook, right? It's reduced hate speech by 80% over the last 3 years. And so that's a matter of really building some cool AI tools that can see hate speech and pull it down even before people see it. But it's a problem. I mean, at the end of the day, all of our speech is not fully free. You can't scream fire in a crowded theater. Otherwise, there's consequences. So, we have to be able to have a balance. But I would just say, stepping away from that part, you look at the economics of this, right? Technology has been an enormous difference for businesses, particularly small businesses in this country, right? There's 6 million minority-owned businesses in America. They add $1 trillion to the economy each year, and technology plays an outsized role in helping those business owners connect with new markets, service their customers, and build generational wealth. That's kind of the untold story and underappreciated story of technology in the community.
I couldn't agree any more with you on that particular point, Doug. The flip side of that argument, though, is that we all know there's a racial divide inside of the world of tech and innovation. And I've had a number of conversations over the last few months, in fact, about that racial divide inside of tech. Too often, people of color are good enough to be consumers, but not content producers. And so while you're right that technology and innovation help drive small businesses like this radio station, we couldn't do it without tech and innovation. So I'm a witness in that regard. I'm a supporter. I'm down with you in that regard, but I am also concerned about this racial divide inside of the industry, the tech and innovation world, where again, we're good enough to be consumers, but not content creators. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think you make a great point there. And, folks have used some of the same social media tools to bring pressure on these companies to take action and make a difference in these things, right? So a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests were accelerated through social media. And so the big technology companies have really heard that. And so they're doing a lot of direct investments in minority-led startups, right? So Microsoft is investing $500 million in artificial intelligence startups, founded by $75 million in African-American startups. And Amazon has a $2 billion investment in minority businesses. And I know in terms of content creators, each of the social platforms has been trying to pull and woo away the various content creators because those build audience. And so, there's definitely work to do, right? And every business, including technology, has work to do in terms of boosting its diversity, boosting it, what it looks like to represent America. And I'm glad to see the tech companies are stepping forward and leading in that area.
Speaking of America, when we come forward, I want to ask you, Doug Kelly, about how tech and innovation are enhancing our nation's overall economic health. We talked a bit about that. I want to come back to that. But more expressly, I want to get to this notion of America's overall security. In what ways are tech and innovation enhancing our national security? I'm thinking of Russia, who hacked our elections, and any number of other issues that I can put on the docket, which I will when we come forward. But we'll talk about tech and innovation and America's overall security and the relationship, the link between those two things, and we'll get a more direct conversation with Doug Kelly, that is, about the American Edge Project. I want you to hear more about what the American Edge Project is doing. Our guest is Doug Kelly, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Be sure to like and follow Tavis Smiley. That's a real Tavis Smiley. And get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues when we come forward.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Spa Business Ready, and B-Warp, the Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing continual missions to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talents, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP. Ho, ho, ho.
KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you a happy holiday and wants to bless you with one night only. A Wonder Winter's Night presented by Stevie Wonder's House Full of Toys benefit at Microsoft Theater. Download the KBLA Talk 1580.com mobile app to enter to win a pair of tickets. This has been a community call to action brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580. We're not ratings driven. We're engagement driven. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
So delighted to be joined by Doug Kelly of the American Edge Project as we talk about technology and innovation and whether or not tech and innovation are still improving our lives, our nation's overall economic health, enhancing our freedom of expression, and America's overall security. Before I jump to the security issue, Doug Kelly, tell me about the American Edge Project.
Yeah, the American Edge Project, we're a coalition of 24 different groups, and they range from small business associations to the National Black Chamber of Commerce to the U.S. Minority Chamber of Commerce. And what we do is we focus on and talk about the importance of America maintaining its technology innovation edge in the world. Because like I said at the start of this, technology isn't just another sector. Mm-hmm. It's the very backbone of our national security, economy, and values. So we try and educate lawmakers, the public, and other influentials about the importance of keeping our technology number one.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Doug, whether or not we are, in fact, maintaining our edge. And I ask that because I sit in L.A., you're in Columbus, Ohio. This station is heard across the nation, but we're flagship in Los Angeles. Obviously, we're the home of Hollywood. And so there are always conversations about piracy. And Hollywood always has concerns about around the globe how its content is being maltreated, for lack of a better word, being exploited. So are we maintaining our edge around the world when it comes to tech and innovation?
Well, let's just take it from a national security standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a growing competition between what I'd call techno-democracies and techno-dictatorships.
Mm-hmm.
And so the dictatorship side is China and Russia. And China is our biggest geopolitical foe when it comes to kind of leading the world going forward. And it matters which country builds the future, right? Those values help build the future. It sells the different products that it builds to different countries for that economic gain. And the question is, are we going to build the future, or are we going to let China build the future? Now, China, to its credit, is investing very, very heavily in building its technological capabilities because they see they see that as the key to overcoming the U.S.'s edge. And so the question is, how do we maintain that edge? So Congress has done some good things in passing things like the CHIPS bill, which helps create more microchips here right in the USA. Mm-hmm. But they're also considering some things that can really harm America's ability to innovate and hand China a technology edge that will last for decades.
I'm wondering, to your point, whether or not in that race to be the first to create this, that, or the other, when it comes to tech innovation, whether or not we should be concerned, how concerned we should be, put another way, about AI. I was just discussing AI in our last hour. And again, you can't talk about tech innovation these days. Mm-hmm. You mentioned it already in this conversation already, which is this notion of AI. How concerned are you? How concerned would you say the American people should be about the advances, if I can put that in air quotes, that we're making with regard to AI?
Yeah, I would say that the strategic technologies that determine who builds the future are artificial intelligence, quantum, super fast computing, 5 and 6G technologies, and then kind of the extended reality overall. Those are the future battlefields where we are really racing against China overall. And so whoever gets there first is going to have that decided edge. In terms of the AI and what that means overall, look, it's a brand new technology, right? And there's pluses and minuses with it. Overall, the pluses outweigh the minuses. But I can promise you that when it comes to how do you regulate AI so it doesn't boost bias? How does it do things so it's not discriminatory? U.S. companies are going to have a better eye on how do we use this and adjust it in a way that is more responsive to consumer needs than China is, right? China uses it right now, surveillance, control, and censorship. And that's not the overall, right? Ours is free, open, and accessible, and China's is closed, censored, and controlling. So really, at the end of the day, America has to build a future so that we have that advantage, both for ourselves and our Western allies.
But we both agree, though, it's going to have to be regulated, yes?
Oh, my gosh. Already, many of the tech companies are looking at their algorithms and AI and saying, listen, how do we set up an external review board so it doesn't have any discriminatory effects? How can we build larger data sets so it's inclusive of more communities? And how do we build fairness on the front end in the design and building of these tools, as opposed to like letting it out of the bottle and then kind of going back and trying to figure out how to shove it back in.
No, everybody I've talked to of late has said to me that we're already in a recession, whether the economists want to acknowledge that or not. We're in a recession right now, and all the indicators are in 2023 that this recession is going to get worse. This is not going to be a great season, we are told, economically, when it comes to Christmas shopping and all the holiday stuff. So we're in a tough spot right now economically in this country, and it may get worse before it gets better. The question is whether or not, that said, we are headed toward a tech boom or a tech bust. Boom or bust when it comes to tech and innovation. We'll get a response to that and a great deal more when we come forward, I guess, from the American Edge Project. Doug Kelly, he's on KBLA Talk 1580.
We don't try to be all things to all people. We just remain true to who we are. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours. Now through December 20th, all of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, we keep us warm. We are the safety net, and together we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Conversations that matter. You're listening to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
I've got just 3 minutes left in conversation with Doug Kelly of the American Edge Project. Just 3 minutes. Let me see if I can squeeze out 2 or 3 questions right quick. Number one, it appears that the economy is headed in the wrong direction. Maybe we'll pull out of this, Doug Kelly. But this recession may very well get worse before it gets better. To your mind, are we headed toward a tech boom or a tech bust?
Well, I'll say that our overall economy will largely follow how tech goes, and how tech goes depends on what bills Congress passes. They can pass bills that either accelerate innovation and help tech and our economy go, or they can pass bills that stifle and undermine innovation, and that's going to set us all back across every single sector.
So there's a new Congress, as you well know, about to be seated. There'll be a new Speaker of the House. To your mind, is that new Congress poised to be an tech and innovation friendly or tech and innovation foe?
Well, I hope they're tech innovation friendly, because I think the one thing the pandemic has shown us is that there's certain technologies and certain products that we need to develop here and manufacture here, whether it's microchips, whether it's pharmaceuticals, that, look, global trade is fine, but if we're too dependent on supply chains overseas, whether it's a pandemic or hostile actors, we have to have a core set of stuff made here so we can have access to it, to sell it to our Western allies. So hopefully it'll be tech-friendly.
Yeah. This is inside baseball, but let me ask you anyway. You know this stuff better than most, but I want to just make it hopefully usable and accessible to our audience. Where these trade agreements are concerned around the globe, vis-a-vis tech and innovation, are we, the American people, getting a fair shake?
Well, I think one of our biggest challenges that we face is really onerous restrictions by other countries who are trying to handcuff our biggest innovators when it comes to their own domestic policy, whether it's restrictions on where data's got to be located, whether they can participate in a market or not. Those are some of the things that other countries are doing to, quote unquote, stick it to. But the problem is that has a ripple effect that hurts the entire U.S. tech industry, and therefore undermines their ability to innovate, undermines their ability to grow economically. And so they're our allies, but we have to come together in a way that's like, how do we help accelerate techno-democracy's strengths against techno-dictatorships? Yep. And that's kind of where we need to go in the future.
Finally, I got a tight 60 seconds here. You're talking to an audience that's full of people of color, and I'm wondering whether or not the tech and innovation sector is unlike the environmental movement, which is getting better, but for so long was run by white folk, to be frank about it. And I'm wondering in this particular sphere whether or not the leadership teams, those who are doing the outreach, are made up of just white folk, or are we included in that as well?
No, you are. I mean, just take a look at our coalition, right? It's the National Black Chamber of Commerce, U.S. Minority Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic organizations, Asian organizations. Like, if we will not achieve the promise of America if we don't get everybody in America on the technology field. And remote technology is also helping tap talent, whether it's in Cleveland, whether it's in Mississippi, that could no longer go to the coast, but now they can work for one of the critical tech companies right from their own home. And so we need to make sure we're investing in STEM talent all across the country.
He is Doug Kelly of the American Edge Project. Doug, thanks for your work and thanks for the conversation. I appreciate you, sir. Happy holidays.
Hey, you too. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. More of Tavis Smiley after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the